Here's your schedule in the Big Ten next year for USC. More importantly, here's who's not on your schedule next year at USC. Ohio State is not on your schedule. Penn State is not on your schedule. Michigan is, but you get them at the Coliseum. Your toughest game is at Oregon, which will be a challenge. Oregon might be the defending national champion, and they're going to reload because they're one of those programs that just keeps cranking along. You play at Purdue, not good. Michigan State at home, who had not had a good year. Illinois is okay. Michigan, you got your Notre Dame game. You have it every year. At Nebraska, then you get Northwestern, Iowa, and UCLA all at home. If Lincoln Riley can't fix his fading star with this schedule, sayonara. This feels to me that will be a bridge too far. Caleb Williams, he had a great year. Next year, Caleb Williams got hurt. Hey, we're okay. Not great. We're going to bounce back. This year was hey, what? Do we stink? No, maybe not. We're just there was a way to kind of say, give me a second. Not with this. This you are. They play A&M here in a couple of weeks. He's on the clock before the first season's even over based on the schedule for next year.
Well, I can tell you right now, having gone to USC and knowing that football culture well, the alum, they want SC to win simply because they don't want the loss. They don't want the embarrassment of a loss, but they do not care. There will be no pride taken in winning that bowl.
The is Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, the Vegas Bowl. That is going to be considered
the SRS Distribution Vegas Bowl.
Yes, that one. That one. Thank you, Emily.
Like there's going to be no pride taken. That's not going to feel like we ended on a strong note. Like no. The fact that you were in that bowl shows that there are no strong notes to be had.
Right.
I think next year, if it feels like you are not taking dramatic steps forward, or even worse, it feels like you're stuck in neutral or maybe even continuing to move a little backwards, it's going to start looking like Lincoln Riley unless you give him the perfect quarterback, like a number one overall caliber draft quarterback, because that's been his biggest pattern of success.
Mayfield, Hurts,
Williams, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Murray, that's what I was forgetting.
Like, unless you give him that caliber of quarterback, the offense will not succeed at the level that he wants, and he clearly does not prioritize defense at the level that would offset the offense.
Let me ask you this. The idea that, the schedule is manageable. SC's schedule this year was challenging. It was a tough schedule. This is less challenging. It felt like there was some momentum after losses to Rutgers and Maryland and things like that. I was like, hey, man, this may end badly. And the cost was so astronomical to buy him out, to get him out. It's not going to happen. They're going to run it back for economic reasons, if nothing else. It would come down, but it wouldn't come down by a million miles.
It's still a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money. If they were just ready to move on but the economics prevented them from doing it, wouldn't the same thing be true? Like, if you're just going to bite the bullet.
I think the royal we, assume way too often that the rich alum will just cover the tab. Like, they'll just pick it up. Like, it's that important to them that they will collectively spend 7 to 8 figures to get rid of this guy. Mm-hmm. They can complain for free. You know what I mean?
Well, this kind of comes back to what I'm saying. I think that there's a sweet spot in between those two things. Like, just get him out. I don't care what it costs. Next. And, man, that's a lot of money. Let's just bitch and whine about this for a little while. But the care factor, not only do I not want the embarrassment of it, but I actually, as a Trojan person, want our football team to be competitive at the highest levels. Ohio State would buy a guy out. Ohio State might fire Ryan Day because he loses one game a year, right? That places like Kalen DeBoer is on the clock after 1 year, and it wasn't a great year by Alabama standards, but it wasn't a catastrophe. USC is willing to kick the can down the road. I think their want in their mind is one thing, but in the practice is a very different thing.
Well, first of all, I want to see Ryan Day get fired before we assume that the powers that be, whether within the institution or outside, are automatically going to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody assumes it, but it hasn't happened yet. I also think, too, though, the way everything works now with the transfer portal, I think it makes it harder if let's say you're one of these rich alums and you're like, this matters to me so much, I would be willing to pick up part of the tab for that buyout. it's harder to be confident about it because you don't know what you're buying into.
Yeah.
Like in a couple years, what you think you are buying may completely change. And I don't care how much money you have, you cannot control these players from coming and going.
You know what's a great example of be careful who you think is the hot new guy because you don't know if he's the hot new guy. You know, a great example of that? Lincoln Riley.
Yes.
That Lincoln Riley, when they hired him, it's like, that's a coup. That's an incredible success.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I will be the first to admit, I don't follow the college game well enough to truly know the ins and outs of who I think is a very good coach. But it is possible that, you know, for those who might pay more attention, they could have recognized, like, hey, USC was so excited that they could even get this guy.
Yeah.
Because remember the period where USC was when they hired Lincoln Riley? Like, they were really, really down.
Yep.
The idea that Lincoln Riley would even go to them took a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah.
You may have been so surprised that you didn't even want to look under the hood that much.
And then you look at a place like Oregon, who gets Dan Lanning off of an SEC staff, off of a Kirby Smart staff, which is basically a Nick Saban staff, and that's one of those. Okay, not the sexiest name because he was a coordinator, but clearly they landed on the right guy.
It becomes much easier to get starstruck by the sexy name and seduced by it.